On today's episode, we will be discussing, should the Lakers be making a change to the starting lineup once Rui and Reaves return? And what the Lakers' priority should be by the trade deadline. Interior defense, perimeter athleticism, three-point shooting. Don't worry, I'll tell you. So stay tuned, and here we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Matter of Stats podcast. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2026. I'm Anthony, here with you as always. And if you're new here to the show, to the podcast, make sure you hit that little subscribe button at the bottom to help support the channel. We really appreciate it. And let's get into it, right? So last we talked, of course, it was just before Christmas, and lots happened. Lakers didn't finish the month of December exceptionally well. They ended December 5-7. They had some losing streaks that were unfortunate, and their trend, even into 2026, of losing to athletic teams, defensive-minded teams, teams with size, has continued. They did, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, right? They did suffer their first loss of the season that was not by double figures, just the other night. A tough one at home to the below 500 Bucks. It was also the first time this year that the Lakers lost what the NBA calls a clutch game, which means basically a close game within the final 5 minutes. They had been undefeated until the loss at home to the Bucks that they suffered. It was a tough one at the end. Luka fouled out. LeBron got fouled on a play. Then Giannis made a nice defensive play. Anyways, at the end of the day, the Lakers are, depending on how you look at it, glass half full, glass half empty. Despite all the deficiencies the Lakers have had on the defensive end of the floor this season, they still are right there in the top 5 in the West. They're just one game behind the Spurs in the loss column for the second best record in the West, despite everything. Luka's had a very good season, not so much as of late with the turnovers and struggling a little bit behind the three-point line. LeBron, since turning 41, has found another fountain of youth wine bottle, per se, because he seems to be living his best life on the court since he turned 41. He's actually played really well and was part of the reason that the Lakers were even in the game against the Bucks. They were down double figures, came back. LeBron was great. Luka struggled a little bit in that one. But Reaves has been out for some time now. Rui, Vincent, there's been a pile of injuries that have cascaded the Lakers all season long. And despite that, again, like I said, they're still in it. They're still right there in the thick of things in the top of the Western Conference. But they've got some deficiencies, which we'll talk to momentarily. And when it comes to what the Lakers can do in the short term versus the long term, what can you do to correct some of these deficiencies, to fix some of the problems they're having, particularly on the defensive end that's caused due to some of the problems they have, right? We've talked about this ad nauseum all year, things like athleticism, defense, interior presence, three-point shooting, size, depth, bench production. Obviously, you can't wave a magic wand and fix everything, especially without making, a trade, Rob. But in the short term, what can you do, right? What can the coaches do? So we've talked about, is it rotations? And in the aftermath of all these injuries, you've had a lot of different starting lineups. Smart has started. Laravia has started. Jackson Hayes has started a few games. And I think one thing that's come of it is you've seen the emergence or the great play of Laravia at times. Jackson Hayes has played much better as of late, particularly these last couple of games. He's kind of been finishing games instead of E10, which we'll also get to later in the game. Sorry. Later in the show. But when everybody's healthy, when Reaves returns, Rui returns, is the simplest fix for the short term an adjustment of the starting lineup, right? Should the Lakers make a change at either the backcourt or front court position? Does that mean starting 3 guards, say with Smart, Rui, with Smart, Reaves, and Luka, or does it mean taking Rui out of the starting lineup and continuing to start a guy like Jake LaRavia, who gives you a little bit of athleticism on both ends of the court, but also can score, can shoot the 3? Or do they go more defensive minded and start a guy like Vando, who doesn't give you the offensive output, but would give you maybe the Lakers' best all around or perimeter oriented defender that they could put in the front court that could guard a 2, a 3, maybe even a 4 at times. So that's been a steady debate. And for me, I think it's hard to keep Rui in the starting lineup because of the fit, because of the way the Lakers' current starting lineup is deployed. You have a lot of guys that are very talented offensively, but none of them really defend. Obviously, we know Luka and Reaves don't defend. LeBron, he's 41 years old. He defends in spurts, but he's 41 years old. He can't be elite defensively anymore. It's just going to be challenging for him. And Rui is not a high-level defender. He's obviously not athletic enough to defend the 2s or the 3s. Sometimes he lacks a little bit of size to defend big 4s. And then DeAndre Ayton is not known for his interior defense either. So I think that it makes the most sense to take probably Rui out of the starting lineup, to leave the playmaking with LeBron, Luka, and Reaves out there. Maybe you add, like I would probably lean towards LaRavia because of his overall ability, but I would be okay in the short term with Vando. I don't like it long term, but in the short term, I think he could solve some of the defensive problems. But I think it helps in 2 ways. I think, one, you put a little more athleticism or defense on the floor in that starting lineup with either Vando or LaRavia. And I think it also helps the bench production because you bring a seasoned offensive-minded player like Rui, who maybe at times can be a little more consistent offensively off the bench than a Vando or LaRavia. So if he's on the bench with Gabe and Smart and Jackson Hayes, the Lakers don't have a strong high-level bench that puts up a lot of consistent points. So maybe the addition of Rui in that second unit will help stabilize it a little bit and provide some more consistent offense while you are hedging your bets a little bit out of the gate with a stronger defensive lineup. So I think I like that in the short term. I don't like it in the long term. I still think the Lakers have to do something outside of the building, meaning they're going to have to go out and make a trade to really solve some of these problems. But in the short term, minus the ability to make a trade tomorrow, I think when Rui returns, which possibly could be Monday, Reaves, is still out, but Rui could return Monday. I think I would like to see that change in the immediate short term. I think we have a question in the crowd.
How's it going, man?
Yes,
How you doing?
You're in the front row. Did you have a question?
Here. Yes, I do have 2 questions actually for you.
2 questions.
As I was kind of eavesdropping here on your little seminar.
Oh, wow. Welcome to the program, our super producer, Kobe.
Just thought I'd pop in for a second.
Wow. In 2026, you show your face. I like it.
So 2 things. First thing, what is it about LeBron being 41 that makes it so that he cannot play better defense? Or he's only going to play in spurts, like you said. What is it specifically? Because you said he could play offense. He was a part of the reason we were in the game against the Bucks. He can put up all these points, but he can't play defense. Why?
Well, I said surprisingly, he's played really well since turning 41. So I want to highlight, I said surprisingly. Second of all, like I told you on a few, I don't know if it was 2 or 3 episodes ago, but I really believe that you don't have to have high level elite defenders, quote unquote defenders like we're used to seeing in years past
No, no,
to
no,
be a
no,
good
no,
defensive
no,
team.
no,
I think you
no,
have to have athleticism
no.
that leads to defense. In
I'm not.
LeBron's case, even though he can still dunk the basketball and he looks athletic, the athleticism at 41 is not the same as it was at 31. And because the Lakers need him to do so much on the offensive end, where's that counter going to come from? Right? He doesn't have the physical ability, I think, to keep guys in front of him like he used to. And that's the biggest issue with everybody on this team defensively is they can't keep guys in front of them. And then when they get past them, there's no interior presence to stop them from scoring in the paint because the Lakers have been giving up a ton of points in the paint over the last couple weeks.
I'm just trying to understand if LeBron can or cannot play defense, and you just basically said that because he's has to do so much on the offense, it limits what he can do on the defensive end.
Well,
Meaning,
I
if
think
he didn't have to do so much on the offensive end, he could do more on the defensive end.
perhaps, yes. Yes. It all depends on how much gas is in the tank. But I think there's two things. I think it's gas in the tank, and I think it's also the physical athleticism. LeBron just isn't quite athletic enough anymore to keep guys in front of him. And again, that's the biggest problem on this team is they don't have guys that can keep other guys in front. And then when they get past them, there's nobody in the paint to stop them. So it's just layup lines and dunks.
Okay, hey, I get it. I'm 43 and guys blow past me all the time at the gym. So I understand what it's like to be in your early 40s and, be a liability on defense. However,
Yeah.
I'm not doing the things that LeBron is doing either on the offensive end. But that's another story for another day. But it kind of segues into the second part of what I was going to talk about here, which is
Okay.
something we see in the comments all the time on the IG,
Mhm.
What do you say to the people that have recently been commenting that ever since LeBron has come back into the lineup, that the Lakers haven't been playing as well as they did when they started? What do you say to those people?
Well, I think it lends to part of the surprise factor. Like I said, LeBron being 41 just 2 weeks ago, I am a little bit surprised that he's been playing as well as he has been. Right? I don't mean just scoring points. I mean he's been getting some rebounds, but his efficiency rating is very high. His field goal percentage is very high. So he's doing a lot of good things that I don't think you would expect a 41-year-old to do. And that has not always been the argument for years. Everyone seems to think that, like, when LeBron leaves, all of a sudden this team is magically going to be an NBA champion instantly without any other changes. I don't think it's that simple. I think Rob has to build the right pieces around players like Luka, and if Reaves is going to be here long term, you've got to have the right pieces around him. And it's hard. I get it. It's
You don't
hard
think
when
people
you're
do? You
second.
don't think a lot of these players do a lot of standing around, a lot of ball watching when LeBron's in the game with the ball?
You don't
You don't
think they do that when Luka's in the game too?
There was a lot more flow and a little bit different energy when, in that first, what was it, 15, 20 games or so. So I don't know.
But
I mean,
it's hard. You can't. It's hard when you have multiple ball dominant players, and the Lakers' three best players are all ball dominant, offensive minded players. So that means you got three guys that are at their best when they have the ball in their hands. So the other two guys on the floor with them at any given moment, they have to be guys that are a little more athletic, right? To your point, that can move or that are capable of hitting a spot up three because they're going to be open on a drive and kick, or can catch a lob, because Luka's a great passer, LeBron's a great passer, Reaves is a pretty good passer. So I think it lends to having the right pieces around them at certain times. And to me, it again falls back to the Lakers don't have those pieces. They don't have the right guys. They don't have athletic players, and they don't have a lot of shooters that can spot up and shoot the three. That's why the Lakers are bottom 10 in defense. They're bottom 10 in rebounding. They're bottom 10 in 3-point shooting. And these are major categories, right? When you talk about a championship level team, these are categories you don't want to be in the bottom 10 in, which again is crazy to think. How the hell do the Lakers, how the hell are they have the fifth best record in the West or whatever they've got, like with being so bad in these major areas, right?
Yeah, because they're a clutch team, right? They're a clutch team in the last 5 minutes or whatever it is. But lucky for you, I'm not going to have you, qualify or quantify what or define what athletic or athleticism actually means, because how do you really determine that? There's kind of really no way to determine that, because I'm just a peasant in the front row with a really cool mic. I don't even know how I got this thing. So I'm just going to turn it back over to you just to let you know. I'm watching you though, dude. I'm watching.
No, I appreciate the fact that you're there, like, little brother looking over my shoulder, right?
That's right. All right, back to you, Bob.
All right. Well, thank you for that wonderful question, and that's why we don't take calls on this show. Now, this is a great segue, though, as you so eloquently put a moment ago, into the second thing I wanted to get to this week, which is what should that priority be for the Lakers, for this team, for Rob and this front office? Given the deficiencies that we're well aware of, should the focus be on getting athletic wings, guys that could shoot the three? Should it be focused on getting some additional help on the interior, maybe a bigger center, more athletic center, someone that has a more defensive-minded approach that can rebound and block shots, because Ayton and Jackson Hayes are not those type of centers? And the short answer would be all of the above, right? Obviously. But because that's not necessarily feasible, and who knows what the Lakers can or will be able to do between now and the February deadline, I think on the surface, everyone's going to say, well, you got to go out and get athletic wings, right? You got to get two-way wings that can defend and shoot the three. I mean, that's the ideal scenario, right? That's the perfect answer to everything. But everybody wants that, and everybody needs that. So they're hard to get. The teams that have them are trying to sell them at a premium, right? You've heard some of the rumors, like the Pelicans, maybe they wanted multiple first round picks for Herb Jones, and Keon Ellis in Sacramento, who's a nice player but not a starter in this league. The Kings want a first round pick. So those are high prices to pay for role players, even if they do check the box of exactly what you need and what the mold is for today's NBA, right? Wings that can defend and shoot the three, length, athleticism. That's the mold that you've seen. So although that would be great, I think that's going to be harder to achieve. For me, I think the direction I would go is an interior big. I don't think that Hayes and Ayton are going to get it done the rest of the season. Clearly, they're not the long-term answer. But in the short-term, long-term, meaning the rest of this season, I don't think DeAndre Ayton is going to be able to hold down the presence as your starting center. We've already seen in some of these recent late games that he's been on the bench in favor of Jackson Hayes. And that's great that Jackson Hayes is playing better, but this is the same predicament we were in last year, where Jackson Hayes was the only center we had, and we had to address it because, remember, in the playoffs, where was Jackson Hayes? Played off the court, on the bench, literally, not even playing. So here we are again. Now you're telling me Jackson Hayes has to play for Ayton in the fourth quarter because Ayton can't get it done defensively. So we're right back full circle where we were last year, and I think that's got to be the big issue. The Lakers really didn't address the center position in the offseason. Ayton was available because it was bought out. Lakers got him on the cheap. Nice bargain deal. That's fine. I get it. Started off the season very well, right? It was a double-double machine. Everybody was loving it, right? Kobe, you know what loving it means. Now, what has he done lately, though? Well, not a whole lot, which is why the coaching staff has him on the bench in the fourth quarter when he's supposed to be out there as our starting center, doing work, getting rebounds, blocking shots, scoring. But that's not happening. He has not been efficient or effective recently. And
wasn't he one of those guys that was doing pretty well when LeBron wasn't playing?
Yeah, well, So suddenly, because LeBron's there, he doesn't know how to rebound a basketball?
Hey,
It ain't
I
like,
don't know.
don't tell me LeBron's getting 30 rebounds a game and there's none for Ayton to grab.
Hey, I don't know. I don't know what the
Look,
vibe's
numbers
like. I
don't
don't know
lie.
what's going on.
I know, but numbers don't lie. Over the last 6 games, he has over 8 rebounds only 3 times. He's got 3 games with 0 blocks, and he scored less than 5 points twice. Now, the points don't matter to me, but the reason why I bring it up is because he made a point to suggest, I'm not going to use the word complain, but suggest that he wanted to get more touches, right? And when you watch some of the games and some of the effort on certain plays, it gives the impression at times that if he's not getting the ball, or if he's not getting the amount of touches that he feels comfortable with and is engaged offensively, then he's not engaged defensively, which is not his strengths to begin with. So I don't expect him to be a lockdown defender, because I know he's not. But he should be a rebounder, right? He's a career double-double player. He's a career double-digit rebounder. So how is it that my relatively not, he's not elite athletic, but he's athletic enough, a true 7-footer. He's still young. How is it that he's got games with 4 rebounds, 5 rebounds, 3 rebounds, 6 rebounds? That's not acceptable. I don't care about the points. And I don't want to see a lazy effort because you're not getting the ball offensively, so therefore you're not rebounding the ball. Now, defensively is a whole other issue. He's not a high-level defender. I think that's the biggest problem, because the Lakers don't have guys that are capable of keeping other players in front of them, right? So you can argue the word athleticism, like you said, all day. What I want to see are, can the Lakers find ways or get the type of players that are athletic enough to just keep other teams' offensive players in front of them? Because right now, they can't do that. And then what happens? When they get past them, there's no interior presence, and they're getting layups and dunks, and the Lakers are giving up 60-plus points a game in the paint because they get by the first level of defense, because our guards and wings can't keep them in front of them, and there's nobody inside to stop them because Ayton is not an interior force. He doesn't block shots. He's not a good defender. So because it's going to be much harder to get those high-level wings to stop them from getting in the paint, I think the path of least resistance for the Lakers, especially because we know Rob's going to keep the money. He's not going to want to take on salary. They're not going to want to give up draft capital. Rob's going to want to, work around the margins, as he likes to say, right? Or I like to say, shop off the clearance rack. So you're not going to get Keon Ellis or Herb Jones, or you're not going to get high-level wings. So I think you got to go get a big, because if we can't stop people from getting to the paint, at least we can maybe deter them from getting layups and dunks if we've got, a Claxton or Sharp or some sort of, even a Nick Richards, who's more of a lower tier option, but just somebody that is a little more athletic, but more importantly, more defensive minded, a better interior presence defensively that can deter them and rebound the basketball, so we're not giving up dunks and layups. I think that would be the first priority I would take, because it's going to at least protect the paint, and it's going to be a cheaper, more viable option for the Lakers and what Rob is going to want to do, versus paying the price to go get one of these high-level wings.
Yeah, I mean,
So
the way
that's where I
that
would start.
yeah, and the way that let me just come on here. Like Stephen A, put the camera on me so you can see me.
Yes. Yeah, God forbid we don't see you.
I just think it's been insane, like at times how we've seen Ayton, Luka, LeBron kind of standing around. I mean, as a Laker, you should be prideful that you're under the microscope at all times when you're a Laker.
Mhm.
And it just kind of lends to my theory that we talk about in the group chat sometimes, that I just kind of feel like when guys come here, it's all about showtime. It's all about the offense, not so much focus and attention on the defense. But man, I mean, you got superstars like LeBron, Luka, and you pick up Ayton, which is supposed to help be a defensive anchor, and sometimes these guys are just caught standing around, like making literally zero effort on certain plays. It's just it's mind-boggling to me, mind-boggling. And again, I don't know if you go out and you get these defensive specialists like you're talking about, they're coming here and saying, I'm trying to put up some buckets because the microscope is on me now, and I want to show what I can do so I can get paid. And it's just sad that sometimes players don't have that mentality on the defensive end to know that, hey, if I come in and do my part defensively for the Lakers, that could get me paid too. But I mean, it rarely is that way, So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're right. It's different mindset here. Of course, the culture, the pressure, the limelight, whatever you want to call it. But even if you went out and got, one or two, quote unquote, defensive minded two-way wings, you're still going to have Luka, Reeves, and LeBron on the court together for a majority of time. Even if, let's just pretend like, even after LeBron's gone, let's say the Lakers keep Reeves long term. You have to understand that if Luka and Reeves are going to be on the court together a lot of the game, starting, finishing, they're not going to keep guys in front of them. So you have to have that defensive anchor. You have to have somebody behind them that can protect them when they do get beat off the dribble, because it's going to happen. You have to know it's going to happen because they're not defensive players. So you want to put some defensive wings around them and shooters, because that's going to be the most advantageous system that's going to work with guys like Luka and Reeves. But you got to have interior presence. You got to have a big that can rebound and defend the paint, or it's just going to be a bloodbath. It's just going to be like clear path to the basket every single time, and it's going to be layups and dunks, which is what we've been seeing in the last month or so.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what Rob cooks up. The Rob special. I'm ready for it.
Oh, I'm sure you are. Yeah, I can't wait to see what 2 dimes and a bus pass will get us.
Don't forget those tickets to Disneyland.
Yeah, throw them in. 2 free tickets.
Right, get us out of here.
On a non-weekend day. Gotta read the fine print.
Oh,
so, all right. Well, we'll see what happens this week. The Lakers have a few more games against below 500 teams, so hopefully they can take advantage of this little stretch in the schedule here and get some wins under their belt before it gets more out of hand, if you will. And as always, we will be back here to talk about it, to discuss, to give our feedback, our insight, and drop knowledge like we always do. So tune in next week, and we'll see you then.
Out of Stats Podcast.